Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be documenting my experience building Medium Scale Asia. This was probably the hardest continent I have to build in the entire series. It's also the biggest one, as big countries like India, China, and Russia, which is the hardest one. Russia alone took 2 hours to build. So I'm going to start in Turkey and I'm going to end in Russia. This is going to be a long video, so just sit back and enjoy all the time lapses and stuff. Anyway. First country I built in the Middle East was Turkey. Turkey was the biggest country I built on the entire map so far, and it was mostly pretty easy, just a few lakes and a non-tricolor flag. Next was the Caucasus, which was pretty easy since it has one of the smallest countries on the entire continent. Next was Levant, which was pretty fun to build since I got to build the new Syria flag for the first time. Also, the other countries were very small and didn't take that much time to build, so it was a really easy region to build altogether. Next was Iraq, which was pretty easy to build since it had no complicated coastline or lakes, and the borders were pretty easy. Other than that, just a little bit of a complicated flag, and that's it. I also did Kuwait, which is very small and easy. Next was the hardest country I've built so far, Saudi Arabia. It's also the biggest country built so far, but that's not why it was hard. The borders were pretty easy, it's just kind of big. The real hard thing is the Arabic, because one of the hardest things in geo-mapping is building Arabic, which a few countries have Arabic on their flags, so that's why it took so long. Next was the Gulf states, which were pretty easy, just a few small countries, Bahrain, Qatar, and the UAE. Next, I finished the Arabian Peninsula by doing Oman. These countries were about medium-sized, and Oman had the most complicated flag, and Yemen's was a very easy flag. So yeah, that's pretty much all to say for these countries. Next was the final country in the Middle East, Iran. This is one of the biggest countries and hardest countries to do in the Middle East, because the flag is pretty complicated. The borders were also big, and also to do some islands in the Persian Gulf. But other than that, Iran was a pretty fun country to build. first Central Asian country was Turkmenistan. This country's borders were pretty easy, it's about a medium-sized country. But the flag was pretty hard because they have a little bit of a carpet design on their flag, as you can see here. Next was Uzbekistan. Now they did have some pretty complicated borders in the eastern part of the country, but other than that, it's basically just like a slightly easier Turkmenistan because they don't have the carpet on their flag. Next was Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. Tajikistan was pretty easy, but Kyrgyzstan had a really complicated flag that took longer to build than the actual country's border. Next was the biggest and longest country I've built yet, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan was the first country that took over 30 minutes to build. I think it took around 40 minutes. So yeah, the border was mostly pretty easy, but the flag sucked. I also had to build it twice because I messed up once. So yeah, that was fun. So yeah, just watch the time lapse of me building Kazakhstan. Next was the other country of Arabic-Orange flag, Afghanistan. Afghanistan was basically just an easier Saudi Arabia since the texture smaller. I started South Asia with Pakistan. Pakistan was a pretty easy country, just a little bit of a border and then a flag with a crescent moon and also a weird white stripe at the end that exists for some reason. Next, I did India, which was the most populated country in the world. It's also the biggest country that we did so far. This country had a pretty complicated flag, which I'll get to whenever I build that. Next was the Indian flag, which took a long time to build. Basically it has like this outer ring and then like this sun thing with all these long rays, which took forever to build. But other than that, it was pretty simple, just annoying. Next was some of the smaller countries that surrounded India, like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. All these countries were pretty easy. Next I did Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Sri Lanka was pretty easy except for the flag, which is kind of weird. And the Maldives had a bunch of small islands, so it was kind of annoying to build. I began Southeast Asia compared to Myanmar. Now, if I did this in the Europe video, this country would be pretty hard. But since Asia has such a lot of hard countries, this one is pretty medium difficulty for Asia standards. Next was Thailand, which is probably one of the most important Southeast Asian countries. Its flag was pretty easy, just a few stripes, and the borders were pretty easy also, except for like this weird peninsula thing. Next was Laos and Cambodia. During Laos, I just kind of did the border and then built a flag. And then during Cambodia, I messed up miserably because I started building on the wrong part of the border, so I had to delete the entire country and rebuild it, so that was fun. Next was Vietnam, which is kind of just like a more skinny Myanmar. We have less colors on the flag. Next was Malaysia. Malaysia was a pretty interesting country to build because it's split in two parts, one on the mainland and then one on Borneo. I also did Singapore and Brunei also. Next we began Indonesia. Indonesia was a very hard country to build. It's probably the hardest country, most annoying country to build, besides maybe Russia in this entire video. Because all the islands are... Well, there's a few big islands, and then there's a few smaller islands that go next to it, which are hard to find. So yeah, that's pretty much all to say for Indonesia, so let's keep enjoying the time lapse. Next was the Philippines. The Philippines was basically an easier Indonesia because the islands weren't too bad, they were smaller on average, and also there was less of them. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for the Philippines. Next, I built China. China was the biggest country I built so far. I also built Taiwan along with China. So, as I did China, the southern coast was pretty hard, but then I got up to Manchuria and it was less hard. I began making the lakes in Tibet, and there were a lot of them, and then after the lakes in Tibet, I began the stars and then filled in the flag. Then I realized it was kind of stupid because the command wasn't big enough, so then I had to quickly fill in these parts. Next I did Mongolia, which was a pretty fun country to build since most of the border was done, and also the flag was unique and fun to build. Next was the Koreas, which were pretty fun to build because they were smaller than most Asian countries. So I began doing the star on the North Korean flag, and then the South Korean flag was also pretty fun to do. Next was another island country in Asia, Japan. Now, Japan had a lot of bigger islands, so it was less annoying to build than some countries like the Indonesia and Philippines. So, Japan was pretty fun to build because not very often you get build island countries like this. Okay, now the big one, Russia. I started by connecting up a few things near like Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Finland, and Estonia. Then when everything was connected up, I began the real border. This took an hour to build. To go from Norway to North Korea. So yeah, just watch this time lapse. Next, I began the lakes, and the lakes took an hour also. It took like a little shorter than the border, which is kind of insane because it didn't feel like it took that long. But by the end, I was very tired, like I was about to fall asleep. I also did this island that I didn't do in the other part. This was a very hard country to build, but also one of the most rewarding countries to finish. And this is what Asia looked like when it was finished. I had a lot of fun making this video, and also since you made it through the end of this video, join the new Discord server that I made, because the old one was very dead, so this is going to be the new official Discord server. I'm going to try to keep it alive, and if I keep posting, I think I can probably try to keep it alive. So yeah, thank you for watching this 20-minute video, and have a great day.